Donald Trump wanted a ceasefire in Gaza. Netanyahu said no. Bombs kept falling. 61 people died in a single night, despite Trump's repeated calls to stop. What you're about to see is how America's plan to pause the war didn't just fail, it backfired. This is a story of how Washington's biggest gamble, the Gaza ceasefire plan, turned into Trump's biggest humiliation on the global stage. Last night, the world thought it was witnessing history. America had announced a plan. Gaza would get a temporary halt to bombings. Hamas would begin releasing hostages. For the first time in weeks, people dared to hope. And then it collapsed in real time, on live TV, on social media. Within hours, Netanyahu's government not only rejected key parts of the plan, they intensified the bombing. And Trump, the man who announced the deal as a major breakthrough, he suddenly looked like a president who wasn't in control of his own policy. Let's break this down. The US plan was simple. 1. Israel pauses bombing. 2. Hamas begins releasing hostages. 3. A Palestinian interim government takes shape. 4. Hamas eventually disarms. 5. Israel withdraws. That's what Trump's team sold to the world. But Netanyahu went on record saying the opposite. He said, Phase 2, Hamas will be disarmed. We will force their surrender. This will happen through our military campaign. Translation, the bombs won't stop. The siege will continue, and America can't tell us otherwise. Trump even tried to put a positive spin on it. Quote, I appreciate Israel has temporarily stopped the bombing. We will get this done quickly. But even as he said it, even as the White House tried to frame this as progress, Israeli jets were still hitting Gaza. By the next morning, 61 Palestinians were dead, another 70 injured. Think about that. He announced a ceasefire. The very next day, more people died than before. It's not just policy failure, it's a credibility meltdown. And the world noticed. Madrid, tens of thousands marching with Palestinian flags. London, crowd shouting, Free Palestine. Los Angeles, protesters outside the Israeli consulate holding signs saying, Genocide planned here. This isn't just the Middle East anymore. This is a global street movement, and America's fingerprints are all over it. For a generation raised on social media, the Gaza war has become a symbol, not just of Israel versus Hamas, but of what happens when the world's most powerful country claims to stand for peace and then stands back as bombs keep falling. And Hamas, sensing the moment, struck back. According to reports, a deadly ambush killed multiple IDF soldiers inside Gaza. This is the other side of the ceasefire story, the part nobody in Washington wants to talk about. When you announce a pause but don't deliver, you create the perfect conditions for escalation. Hamas used that pause to regroup, Israel used it to retarget, and civilians paid the price. By the evening, Trump was no longer the broker of peace. He was issuing threats. He warned Hamas of serious consequences if hostages weren't released. He thanked Israel for his temporary pause but demanded they wrap this up fast. This is the language of a man losing leverage. This is in 2017 Trump tweeting from a position of strength. This is 2025 Trump watching his Middle East plan unravel on cable news. Netanyahu, on the other hand, looked confident. He literally said, this will happen under Trump's plan or under our military operation. Translation, we are not taking orders from Washington, we are calling the shots. And that's the headline. For the first time in decades, Israel openly defied an American president on live television and paid no price because Trump blinked. Meanwhile, the protest spread. Madrid, Mexico City, Tunisia, France. Even in Western capitals, people are saying out loud what used to be whispered. Stop funding the war. Stop the genocide. Stop pretending this is a ceasefire. It's no longer a fringe slogan, it's a mainstream demand. And that puts Trump in a box because his base loves Netanyahu, but his voters are tired of endless wars. And while all this was happening, Iran made its own move. State TV released declassified footage of an underground missile base. Massive rockets lined up like a scene from a dystopian movie. A clear message to Washington and Tel Aviv. We are ready, we are not scared. 12 days of fighting, missile strikes, and no public flexing of military power. Iran wanted the world to see this at the exact moment Trump's ceasefire plan was falling apart. And if you thought this was just about Gaza, think again. Georgia. Protesters stormed the presidential palace in Tbilisi. Paper spray, street battles. Why? Because their government is accused of rigging elections and leaning toward Moscow. It's all connected. When people see superpowers ignore their own rules abroad, they stop trusting their own governments at home. Gaza becomes a metaphor for broken democracy everywhere. And then there's Ukraine. Even as all eyes were on Gaza, a Russian drone hit a passenger train in Sumy. Windows blown out, cars on fire, multiple casualties, another war, another tragedy, overshadowed by the headlines from the Middle East. This is the world right now. Multiple crises, multiple flashpoints, and a US president trying to manage them all with 280 character posts. So here's the question. Was this a ceasefire or was this a surrender? Because the facts are clear. Trump announced a plan. Netanyahu ignored it. Bombing continued. Hamas struck back. Protests erupted worldwide. And in the middle of it all, the credibility of America's word, already frayed, took another hit. What happens next isn't just about Gaza. It's about whether the world still believes Washington can deliver on its promises. It's about whether a ceasefire means anything when bombs keep falling. It's about whether leaders like Netanyahu can openly defy US presence and still get billions in aid. And it's about what this generation, the one flooding the streets from Madrid to Los Angeles, is going to do about it. You're watching history unfold in real time. The Gaza ceasefire plan was supposed to be Trump's moment of statesmanship. Instead, it's a warning. A warning that America's power is slipping. A warning that global movements are rising. And a warning that unless something changes, the next temporary pause won't be a pause at all. It will be the prelude to something much worse. I'm Mazhar. This is your channel. Stay tuned, stay awake.